Welcome to Stay in the Truck. This week's show, we're going to talk about the ACC Conference. Grab you a cold beverage and let's go. Welcome to Stay in the Truck, the ultimate podcast for sports enthusiasts and avid gamblers alike. Join us as we delve into the dynamic world of sports trends and gambling, providing you with invaluable insights, analysis, and tips to elevate your game. Tune in and join us on the thrilling journey through the world of sports trends and sports gambling. Get ready to elevate your game, sharpen your instincts, and make your mark in the ever-changing world of sports betting. Stay in the Truck is your trusted companion to navigate the intersection of sports and gambling. Stick around to the end of the show when we make our predictions for the most boneheaded sports moves of the week with our Stay in the Truck awards. So let's get started. All right, so let's jump right in with the ACC championships from last year, the Clemson Tigers.
Clemson Tigers, defending ACC champions and favored to win the conference again. Dabo's boys. Dabo. They're plus 155 to win the conference. They have a season win total set at 9.5. They got it way juiced to the over at minus 190, or if you're brave enough to think they're going to lose 3 games, then you can get plus money at 150. My numbers, I have them favored in every game they play. So I'm definitely on the over. They haven't lost a home game since 2016. They got 7 starters coming back on offense. They got 8 starters coming back on defense. And they got a Heisman hopeful in Cade Klubnik. They got a 2-headed monster at running back with Will Shipley and Phil Mahoff. Shipley had over 1,100 yards last year. He had 15 touchdowns. Their receivers, we'll see what happens. They're not elite. Antonio Williams, he needs to step up and be the guy. He had 56 catches last year, over 600 yards. He had 4 touchdowns. The offensive line, they're above average. We don't know if they can hold up. Their center, Will Putnam, he's back, which is always the key to the offensive line.
So if I remember correctly, you had Cade Klubnik last week's show as one of your Heisman favorites.
Yes, he's one of my favorites, and, you know, I was able to get down on 25-1 at that time, and he's one of my favorites because I think they're going to go undefeated. I think they're going to win the ACC. I don't think Florida State is what everybody else thinks they are. So
I agree. You know, I've been saying that. Nobody's lit up.
Well, we'll find out. September 23rd, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you who I am excited for is the sophomore wide receiver, Adam Randall. I think this guy could be something special. He's coming off ACL surgery last year, but he has a huge frame, 6'2", 230, got track star speed. He could cause a lot of issues for the opposing defenses alongside Antonio Williams there. So I know we're saying their wide receivers are not elite, but it seems like the wide receiver position either shows up or doesn't.
Yeah,
guys come out of
somebody
nowhere.
has to step up, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no Justin Ross. There's no, you know, some of the older guys they had. I'm not sure they have one of those guys. There's no Hopkins there. I mean, there's just not.
Yeah.
But there probably won't ever be. I mean, those guys were one of a kind. You know, I mean, they were elite of elite. So. But they don't have to have one of those guys. They just have to have somebody that can play.
Well, I'm a little I got to disagree with you on Klubnik for the Heisman. Klubnik is, to me, a football player, and he's a winner, right? But he's not. Right now, the world is so stuck on the shiny new thing, which right now is all the stats. Who had the most yards? Who threw for the most yards? Who had the most touchdowns? This kid is a winner because he wins by controlling the game. If you look at his stats last year, he came in and technically on paper, he did not play as good as DJ Ukulele. He was he didn't though. He had like 1% less in completions. He had 1 more interception than he had touchdowns. His QBR was 15 points less. But he wins games. And there's a difference in winning with flash. And DJ, he could tuck the ball after he held it for 16 seconds and didn't find an open receiver. He would tuck it and run, which is why he had 500-plus yards rushing. And I think Klubnik will have a few hundred yards rushing over the season, probably, 300 to 500, I'm going to guess. But it's going to be 4 or 5 yards here, 4 or 5 yards there. I don't think he's going to be a breakout runner. but he's going to do what he's got to do to get first downs. He's going to do what he's got to do to control the clock. He's going to throw the ball away to stop the clock. He's going to do the things that quarterbacks do to win rather than pad their stats. And I think that that's going to hurt him in the Heisman race, but it's going to help him on the field win games.
So you have a baseline that was set with Trevor Lawrence. And DJ, he didn't measure up, right? He just didn't get to the point, and that's the litmus test that all of the fan base for Clemson's looking for.
Well, yeah, and Watson before him, right? Watson then Lawrence. So,
but at the end of the day, Cade's winning games.
Yeah.
He's able to get rid of the ball. He's not turning it over, right? And that was the problem, right? DJ was turning the ball over. So,
Well, okay, but all right. So if we're going to go down that road, all right. Here's my deal. I got him at 25-1. Okay. Now, why I'm thinking about in doing that is, I got him to go to run the table. Okay. I got him to be undefeated. I got him to win the ACC, and I got him to go to the playoffs. Now, they're not going to knock him for any of that. He's going to get all the glory.
100%.
Yeah.
And you know, we're talking about people that actually vote on this stuff. They see this kid, sophomore, junior, whatever you
And
want
they
to call
love
him.
Dabo.
They love
the media
little
loves
old
Dabo and his
They
card
love-
tricks.
Yeah, and you know, little old Clemson, as Dabo called him.
he was high on DJ, though.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, DJ was the number one quarterback in the nation coming out of high school.
Yeah.
So everybody was high on DJ
Oregon
coming out of
State's
high
high
school.
on him now.
Yeah, but what about his second year?
Well, you saw what happened. That's why he took off. But
All right, so here's
So-
my thing. So
well-
they have Florida State September 23rd. They also play Notre Dame in November. And then again, they've got South Carolina, their last game.
Which they blew that game last year, but that's not
Right.
that's
3 games. So I don't know if I'm on board with them being undefeated.
well. Now, if you're asking me, is Spencer Rattler going to beat Dabo? I'm telling you, it ain't going to happen
He's
2
done it
years in a
before,
row.
right?
It ain't going to happen 2 years in a row.
well, we've talked a ton about the offense. Let's talk a little bit about the defense. We've got a second-year defensive coordinator, Wes Goodwin, coming back. Obviously, Brent Venables left for Oklahoma a couple years ago.
Stellar job out there, Brent.
Stopping the run is going to be key for this Clemson team, in my
These
opinion.
guys lost 3 players in the NFL off their defense.
Yeah, but
returning
this is
a ton of starters.
Yeah, they reload, though. This is a team that Dabo, if he knows anything, it is definitely defense.
So a little bit of a crazy stat here. Since 2011, Clemson is a ridiculous 84-2 when allowing 120 yards or fewer rushing yards. So stop the run. Don't let the other side ever get control and win the game. That's a pretty good recipe for
They've
success.
got a couple weapons, right? So Tyler Davis, that cat's a stud, and Trotter. Both those guys.
Yeah, well, and then Dabo called Peter Woods Haley's Comet. This is a freshman.
So what did that mean exactly? That he's
If you
fast
go back,
as
go back to the spring game and look what he did. He wreaked havoc. He tore the number 1 offensive line apart. The kid he's for real. He's out of Alabaster, Alabama, meaning that he kind of told Nick Saban, no, thank you.
right?
Dabo got him, and he's gonna be somebody that we all need to look out for this year.
Yeah, I had a brain fart there. I just realized what it meant. He only comes around once
Once
every
77 years
whatever.
or whatever it is. Yeah,
This
that-
cat is 6'2", but he's 300 pounds.
6'2", 300.
yeah,
Runs a 4.2.
probably.
Defensive line.
Yeah,
He's a stump.
yeah.
I do. I think they go undefeated in the ACC, but Jeff, I don't know if they're going to be able to get up again for Notre Dame and South Carolina. I think
You don't
I
think they got Notre Dame circled?
I think one of those 2 games they're going to lose. I couldn't tell you which one. I think it depends on the game before.
They
If
get
that-
Notre Dame at home though.
Hey, if Drake May comes out and has that year everybody's saying, and he's showing out, and they get North Carolina right before South Carolina, and they have a hell of a game, you know how those intense games are, especially if they go to like an overtime or it's one of those. It's so hard to get back up for that game,
Yep.
that next game after you have one. This feels like you're in the
Both
trenches.
of those games are non-conference.
That's what I just said. I
Yeah,
said I
so
think they'll go
Florida State-
undefeated in the
Florida
ACC, but I
State
don't think they'll
game-
go undefeated.
The Florida State game is the key.
So
Well, I mean, they get Florida State at home too.
I'm not sold on Florida.
I'm not sold either. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But look, like to Chris's point, they get Notre Dame at home. Okay, and Notre Dame, they do finally have a quarterback, and Sam Hartman transferred out of Wake Forest, which, God, I don't even know how many records he set over there.
Yeah, and they're playing them after rivalry week.
They are playing, yeah.
So NC State could be terrible, and they're still going to play hard against Clemson.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
And then no divisions. I mean, literally, you can lose 2 games, still make it to the championship game. None of that matters anymore. You could lose to a team and end up playing them in the championship game. So.
But even at Chris's point, even if they lose to Notre Dame, South Carolina, let's just say they lose those 2 games, right?
I don't think they're going to drop both. I think they'll lose one.
But they still go over 9.5.
Yeah, and they go over 9.5, and they stay undefeated and win the ACC.
Yep. And if they win the ACC,
If they win the ACC with 1 loss, they're going to make it.
probably in the dance.
If they lose 2, they're done. Even if they win the ACC, just like last year.
So let's talk about the second favorite, Florida State Seminoles.
second favorite to Clemson at a plus 170, season win total 9.5, juice to the over, or you can take the under at plus money at plus 110. Mike Norvell returns for his 4th season. He got 6 of the top 50 transfers out of the portal, which goes to tell you right now how he's trying to build this team, because when Willie Taggart left, he didn't inherit anything from Jimbo, but he damn sure didn't build nothing up for Norvell.
Well, he's doing the complete opposite of Dabo, right? Dabo doesn't use the transfer portal at all, but
Tiger
FSU is
Woods,
using
y'all.
it left and right. I mean, it's just crazy how different their philosophies are there.
And I think a lot of that has to do with pretty much like Florida State is not working with the same kind of facilities that Clemson is, or the same kind of money that Clemson gets, or especially Miami, which we'll touch that. We'll touch base on that in just a minute. But Mike Norvell, he's a really, really good coach. They have Jordan Travis coming back, and I cannot tell you, a lot of respected people have him neck to neck with Caleb Williams to win the Heisman, and we'll just see how all that goes.
Yeah, between him and Jaden Daniels as well, right? And that first game versus LSU is going to be a critical one. Jaden Daniels, Jordan Travis, both big Heisman candidates. Should be a hell of a matchup on that September 3rd game.
I don't even have Jordan Travis in my top 5 QBs.
Well,
I don't.
I mean,
interesting take.
he's a dual threat. He's a dual threat guy. He started out not being able to make any of the throws. He started making all the throws last year. He actually he took control of the offense. Mike Norvell loves him. Everybody on his team, he's the captain now. He's went to all the last 3 ACC media days. When a coach thinks that highly of you, that obviously shows you what he believes in him. Now, it's yet to be seen what's going to happen this year. That first game of the year, I got them as 2.5-point dogs. I don't think they beat LSU.
So let's talk about the schedule real quick. So they've got LSU at a neutral site. How important is this Clemson game that they have on September 23rd?
Well, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, maybe not that big because there's no more divisions. They could lose that game and rematch Clemson in the ACC championship game. So, with them doing away with the divisions and stuff, that kind of takes away from some of the stuff, But they're loaded on offense. Okay, they got 8 starters coming back. Jordan Travis, Benson, he's going to be the bell cow at the running back. Rodney Hill, sophomore, he's the one to watch. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. They got a great tight end coming back. He can line up anywhere. He loves to block. A lot of people compare him to Brock Bowers. That's a huge comparison. But Florida State's always had good tight ends. They've always had good tight ends. This wide receiver, Johnny Wilson, the kid's 6'7", can absolutely fly. They got Keon Coleman from Michigan State, #1 receiver in the portal. Offensive line, check this out. This is the most ever since they've been recording this kind of stuff. This offensive line has 207 career starts. So they obviously are experienced.
They also have Dylan Gibbons, who's first-team All-ACC offensive guard that's returning this year as well.
That's all great, and it sounds cute, and it's like icing on a cake, and it makes the cake look good even if there's shit underneath. But how many times, I'll ask y'all if any of you guys know this, how many times since Jordan Travis has been a starting quarterback, which he started a few games in 2020, he started most of 21, started all of 22, I think he started all of 21. How many times has he beat a ranked opponent?
Well, now, to your point, okay? To your point, last year they only played 3 ranked opponents.
And they lost 3
Clemson,
times.
UNC, and Wake Forest, and they lost all 3 games.
Yeah.
So
In conference games.
yes. Oh, yeah, all of them was in. There's only 3 ranked opponents they played, period.
Right.
Yes, and conference made it worse.
Yep. In 2020, they got super lucky and beat an extremely overrated University of North Carolina Tar Heel team who happened to be ranked.
UNC is ranked in the top 25 this year preseason.
Well, they
come
ain't
along.
beat them yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They haven't beat them.
they're not playing them.
Yeah, they don't even play them.
But again, the 3 games, LSU, Clemson, and then, of course, Florida at the end.
Yeah, well, okay, but 2 of those 3 games are non-conference games. So, but if they have national championship aspirations, they're going to have to beat LSU, and they damn sure can't lose to Florida at the end of the year. Especially a Florida team which we'll preview this in the upcoming weeks. I'm pretty sure we all expect them to be down again, so they can't afford to lose. Listen, last year, that LSU game when they opened the season and they beat them because of the missed kick and all that, that was, that kind of got them rolling. Probably shouldn't happen. Okay? So they get the benefit of the doubt, whatever. I've heard people say Norvell outcoached Brian Kelly. Whatever. Whatever. But they have the potential to, depending on what Drake May can do, they'll probably lead the ACC in scoring. Okay? Now, UNC is going to be in a lot of dogfights. They're going to be in a lot of shootouts. There's going to be a lot of points scored for UNC. But you look at what they got coming back on offense, then you turn to the defense. They led the ACC in total defense last year. They got Jared Verse. He stayed. He's going to might be the first or second defensive player drafted. Brandon Fisk, they got him out of Western Michigan. Huge get the passer guy, huge tackle guy. Patrick Payton, ACC Defensive Freshman of the Year. He comes back. Jaden Jones. They got the #1 JUCO DN. He had a torn ACL last year. He's coming back. And see, that all goes back to even what Bobby Bowden used to do. Bobby Bowden used to go get these guys, these JUCO guys. He used to bring them in. So, I mean, that's something that Florida State's very familiar with. And Norvell's, he's trying to get them back on track.
So let me ask you this. How concerned are you with them losing their defensive end, Jermaine Johnson, to the Jets, and their safety, Jamie Robinson, to the Panthers?
Well, I mean, anytime they can't afford to take a step down on defense. They can't do it. They got thrown all over last year, so they got to figure out how they're going to shore that up. They got a playmaker in Ronaldo Green at corner. We'll see what happens. They did get Fentrell Cypress from Virginia and Jaron Jones. They got that Fentrell Cypress, that transfer from Virginia. It was Virginia's best defensive player. Now, I mean, that's not saying a whole lot or whatever, but he ranked out like top 5 in the ACC. He can play.
Well, it's because they were 3-7 because they couldn't get first downs, and he stayed on the field for a long time and got lots of tackles.
But they're going to expect him to step up and start from day one and be the guy back there. Like I said, they got thrown all over last year.
I have a couple Fentrell cypresses between my neighbor and I to make sure that I can't see into their backyard. So I'm big on him.
But, I look at this team and I like the under. I don't think they win 10 games.
Yeah, that early game against Clemson is going to be key. Do you guys know they've lost 7 in a row to Clemson dating back to 2014? So
Hey, listen, not only that, they never play Boston College good. Ever. They never, ever have, and they didn't play them good last year. They got to go up there. It's probably going to end up being one of those weird night games up there at Chestnut, and I'm not a believer in Florida State like some of these proponents are, and you know, some of these guys you hear. I'm just not a believer yet.
Yeah, I'm looking at your numbers on this Boston College game. That's a double digit, pretty big.
Well, I mean, yeah, the power ratings. Okay, so we talk about the numbers. The power ratings, they are what they are. Okay, they are what they are. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. There's upsets that happen all the time. Now, I would not lay. I got Florida State as 15-point favorite over Boston College. Okay, I would not lay that 15 points. I just don't know. Do I think Jordan Travis is going to go play great? Yeah, I do. I think he's going to be good. Okay, but it's still to be decided. This defense, this backfield that they got back there, we still don't know what they're going to do.
yeah, I mentioned this a little bit last week in my Heisman pick, whereas Chris Smith's hating on him here, but for whatever reason, he's only the 4th player in school history with 3,000 total yards and 30 touchdowns in a season. The other 3 to make that happen were all Heisman winners. Charlie Ward in 93, Chris Wanke in 2000, and Jameis Crablegs Winston back in 2013. So,
But other than Jameis, who was in the transition era of football where they were starting to spread things out and do things different, those other guys did it in the old school lineup, run it down your throat, 2 tight ends.
Well, you're talking about
Mark
Rick. Mark Rick was the OC for Chris Winkie,
yeah.
which a lot of people, you know, credit him for most of Bobby Bowden's success at that era of football.
Right.
And Winston
because Mark Rick was one of the first people, believe it or not, that came out spreading it out, throwing.
That's right.
But back then, throwing a little more was throwing 25 times a game.
Exactly.
Now they're throwing 55, 60 times.
Yeah,
a game.
which goes to what I was going to say about when Jameis won. He had Jimbo. You know, Jimbo Fisher. Say what you want to about him. He's a great offensive mind. You know,
Love to hate him.
Yeah, you got to love to hate him. But, you know, this whole Florida State team, I'm not even sure they should be the second favorite. I think they just do it because they know North Carolina still doesn't have a defense and they still got Gene Chizik. But
yeah, who would you put over him? North Carolina? Louisville?
We'll talk about Louisville in a minute. But
Do you think Johnny Wilson's all that? 6'7", Johnny Wilson, the receiver? There's a little hype on him, preseason hype.
There's a lot of hype on him.
I don't know if he can carry the weight.
I don't know how good he's going to be. And listen, I'm not sure that Jordan Travis can make every one of those throws either.
Right.
So, at the end of the day, how important is this game against Clemson on September 23rd?
I mean, they can lose that game and still play Clemson
If they
again.
run the ACC belt, if that's their
Not
only
ve-
loss in the ACC, they could end up playing them again.
Not
Yeah.
very much if they lose to Boston College.
Well, yeah, I mean, if they go up there and if Boston College comes down there to Tallahassee and whoops their ass, then
they could be coming into that game 1-2 if.
and then it doesn't matter.
I think Jordan Travis will be fun to watch. I think that big receiver's going to make some great plays
see
because he's
that.
huge and he jumps over some people. But I don't think they've got the true talent when they match up against extremely talented defenses to pull it off. I think let's look at your numbers. You got them at 9.5.
Right.
I got them losing to LSU.
Yep.
I got them losing to Clemson. I got them losing to Florida. They got lucky against Florida last year, and Florida has got some good picks, got some good draft picks. I mean, some good recruited some good players, and Florida's going to be. I think Florida's going to surprise some people this year.
Well, not only that, they have to go to Pittsburgh,
And Florida's going to be physical.
but they have to go
And
to Pittsburgh.
I was getting there. If Pittsburgh and their new quarterback, we'll know. We'll know within a few weeks if that's going to be a game. But if that quarterback goes up there and shines, then that. But I got them 8-4, 9-3 at best.
I
got
totally
them under.
agree.
I don't think they're going to make your 9.5. They're 10.
No, I mean, look, if you're betting, you get under at plus 110, I mean, that's the bet I'm going to make. I have no problem with anybody making that bet. And look, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you if you think they're going to win 10 games. Well, hey, man, you think they're going to win 10 games. That's great. I'm going to tell you right now, LSU's about to stomp a mud hole in that ass.
Yeah, they're about to bust that ass. LSU's going to win by, I bet LSU wins by 10.
Yeah, I was going to say double digits.
We're going to talk about Pittsburgh in a few minutes. But, again, Pittsburgh finished in the top 25 last year. They are not ranked preseason this year. So we'll see how that kind of works out. So,
yeah, well, all right, let's talk about UNC. All right, North Carolina. Mac Brown. Mac Brown. Great recruiter. Got his little national championship over there with Vince Young in Texas back in 2004 when, guess what, Auburn should have been playing USC that year, but we got totally screwed out of that deal. But that's for another podcast. But
how can you not root for Mac Brown, though? I'm not a UNC fan, but he's such a good dude. Like, I just want to root for him. I want to root for him, and I want to root for Drake May, and I want to see success out of North Carolina. That's very different than do I think they will be successful.
Exactly, because, look.
It's the complete opposite of Jimbo Fisher.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but, I mean, you look at UNC, they lost 4 straight to end the season last year. They lost to Georgia Tech, North Carolina State, and they lost to Clemson 39-10 in the ACC championship, and then Oregon just beat their ass. So they get 9 starters back. But here's one of my glaring boom, the red alert things I send you guys. Chip Lindsey, new offensive coordinator, because Phil Longo, that basically trained Drake May in the college deal, he left for Wisconsin to go up there with Luke Fickell. So they bring in Chip Lindsey. And let me tell you something. I watched him over there at Auburn. God. And then he took the head coach job at Troy and was just totally garbage. But, here's the thing. Mac Brown, they were so afraid Drake May was going to transfer out. Okay?
Oh, they thought he was gone. They thought it was a done deal.
They thought it was a done deal. Mac Brown let Drake May come in on this hire. So think about what I'm telling y'all. The head coach of North Carolina took his star quarterback, who will probably be the first quarterback selected next year in the NFL. Let him make a decision on who he wants his offensive coordinator to be. And he chose Chip Lindsey. Now, I'm just telling you something. Decision making. And I could be dead wrong, and I might have to eat crow and blah, 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 blah. But I'm telling you right now, that is an underwhelming hire. That is their, and maybe they couldn't get anybody else, and I don't know who else they had on their list, but I'm not a Chip Lindsey believer. Phil Longo, Drake May loved him, and Phil's gone. He's gone. So
long gone.
Long gone. Longo is long gone. But look, Drake May, 4,300 yards last year, 39 touchdowns. That's sick, dude. That is sick. Led the team in rushing. He had 938 yards on the ground.
And he's not even in the, like, when you look at all the top 10 Heisman picks this year, he's not on anybody's list.
No, he's up there.
He is. He might be up there.
Second or third favorite.
Yeah, but they know that they're not going to run the table. That's the thing. Like, he's going to have to set records.
This gets down to defense.
Yeah, they have none.
Right. That's the key to this North Carolina team. Does the defense stand up with Gene Chizik?
No.
That's the key.
No. They allowed 437 yards and 31 points per game last year. And guess what? They don't have really nothing. What they got Miles Murphy coming back as a 300-pound nose tackle or whatever they decide to play him.
Well, they got Cedric Gray coming back as a linebacker. First team All ACC.
Yeah, but we're talking about first team All ACC that named me a good defense last year.
No, I get it. I'm just telling you.
All
right, so Drake May's fourth favorite, tied for fourth favorite at plus 1,400.
Yeah, and are you going to bet your money on that when you know he's not going undefeated?
No. I mean, no way he wins the Heisman just because I don't think UNC finishes.
They can score a ton of points, but if they can't stop anybody,
I don't think they get 10 wins. So
yeah, they got to be able to stop people.
They're going to have a minimum of 2 losses, and I think that immediately pretty much throws you out of the Heisman race right there.
Well, I think South Carolina gets them the first week.
Yep.
They're playing in Charlotte. It's a neutral field, so you can't really put in the home field. That's why I have it as a pick.
Hell, App State, they beat by 1 point last year.
Yeah.
So
App State
App
always
State
plays
might
us
get their ass right then. They could be 0-2 to start the season.
Yeah, friend of the show, Carl
They
Johnson.
could be 0-3 to start the season.
Yeah, they could be because there's no guarantee they go to Minnesota and win that game.
Not go to Minnesota.
Exactly. Or they get Minnesota at home, but yeah, there's no guarantee that they win that game. And then they got to go to Pittsburgh.
And they got to go to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rough start for UNC this year. Drake
Yeah.
May better show up.
I'm not a believer. I'm definitely going on the under of 8.5. 7-3, best case scenario in my opinion. Yeah, they get a free win at Campbell. I mean, to end the season, they got their rival, that NC State, and they got to go there and play. I don't see it, man. I do not see them winning 9 games.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
They did pull in old Tez Walker, who absolutely lit Georgia up in that Kent State game last year for 106 yards and a score on 7 catches. So
All right, well,
he's getting a few pieces of the puzzle coming in.
all right, little nugget on that. Kent State guy, right?
Right.
Who was the head coach? Sean Lewis. Who hired him?
Neon Dion.
Okay, exactly. So that whole deal, what he had him set up perfect in that offense. Okay, now again, we don't know Chip Lindsey. I'm telling you, we don't know. So
What kind of mindset is Chip Lindsey? Is he a run first guy? Is he pass that?
no, he's
play
one
action?
of those
Is
kind
he
of play
throw
action
first?
type deal. I mean, he
West Coast
no, he's not West Coast. He's more a little play action type deal.
Bobo type.
Yeah, but he ain't even on Bobo's level.
Red Dogs.
Well, we shall see.
So
What about the defense? Let's talk a little bit about the UNC defense.
Yeah, well, like I said, they allowed 437 yards and 31 points per game. And you're going to tell me a Heisman Trophy winner is going to come out of that? No. I mean, Drake May can't play defense, too.
He might be throwing the ball a lot, playing catch up.
Yeah.
That might help him out.
Well, I mean, they get Desmond Evans on the defensive line, Miles Murphy, secondary. There's nothing to even look at back there. So they're in for a long, long year.
Yeah, they gave up 40 sacks last year for 204 yards, whereas they actually only accrued 17 sacks for 125 yards. So they're going to need to get after it.
Terrible.
App State hung 61 on them last year.
Yes.
Yeah, they lost.
Second game of the year or something?
They won,
They won 62 to 61.
Yes.
Okay, I thought it was
Yes.
62 to 61. I
Yeah.
knew they beat them by. I thought it was 1, but
Was that the second game of the year?
What was the
second
over?
game.
Yeah.
What was
Same
the
as this
over
year.
on that game? Y'all know?
Yeah, like 64 or something.
whatever it was, we should have bet it.
All right, let's talk about Miami Hurricanes. These guys added 5 to 7 starters from the transfer portal this year.
Yeah, Mario Cristobal, the prodigal son. My God. Great recruiter. Let me give y'all this little stat. In Mario Cristobal's last 30 games that he was the head coach, his last 30 games, this goes back to when he was at Oregon, he is 7, 21, and 2 against the spread. 7, 21, and 2 against the spread.
So just bet against them.
Bet against the.
I don't think there was a soul in Eugene, Oregon that was sad to see him go. Not a soul. I mean,
the other team with the spread. That's for damn sure.
look, he was a great offensive lineman for him, no doubt about it. He's probably a great coordinator. He was Saban's coordinator for a couple of years over there. But that, this all goes back to how good can these coordinators be? Are they head coaches or not? But listen, the last 5 seasons when Miami's been favored by 9.5 or fewer, they've only won 13 games straight up when they're favored by 9.5 or fewer. That's terrible.
I mean, they've really become irrelevant.
Yes.
And it's sad because it was like when we were growing up, Miami, the program. I mean,
the late
players.
80s,
Probably
when Jimmy Johnson.
the greatest single season college football team of all time.
They've become a documentary, though.
So-
There's so much controversy.
So I was born in 1980, and everybody wore the starter jackets. And the starter jacket that I got was the Miami Hurricanes, and I had no ties to them at all. So that just goes to show you.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the LA Kings, the Miami Hurricanes,
Georgetown. Yeah.
I mean, they were all over the map. Yeah, I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, the glory days are gone. They're gone. To end 2022, they lost a shout out to our boy Brooks Nunley. They lost to Middle Tennessee State by 14. They gave up 40-plus points in 4 of their last 6 games. They only covered 1 game, period, last year. They had to replace the OC and the DC. 7 new coaches in all they replaced.
Ouch.
There's a guy named John Ruiz he's the one that invented the Life Wallet. You guys heard of that?
The Life Wallet.
Yeah,
No,
the little, the app thing where you load everything and it's all security protected and all that.
Okay.
He's an attorney and he invented the Life Wallet. He is their biggest NIL pusher. Okay.
All right.
So he pretty much kind of like Auburn and Bobby Louder, and he kind of controls that program. He's the one that pushes all this NIL stuff, all the money, all the decisions. It's not the AD, whoever it is now. It used to be old girl. I don't even remember her name, but John Ruiz makes all these decisions. Him and Cristobal, they're BFFs. That's why they pushed Manny Diaz out. Manny Diaz's dad was the mayor of South Beach or something like that. They didn't like Manny Diaz, who is up there with Franklin at Penn State now as the DC, just wreaking havoc over everybody. They didn't like Manny Diaz. So they went and got their boy Cristobal, brought him in here. Yeah, he's a great recruiter, but he is not a great head coach. I just told y'all the numbers. It's terrible. Yeah, they get 9 starters back. They had to go get him a new OC, like I said. Shannon Dawson come in from Houston. They're going to try to run this air raid because they got Tyler Van Dyke. That's what he does. He throws the ball. He can run a little bit, whatever, but he stays hurt all the time. All the time. Look, Tyler Van Dyke, 2 NIL deals since January, okay? He got one in January, and then after the spring game, because Saban come calling for him, guess what? He renegotiated another one.
Smart fella.
We're talking about this is a college football program. This quarterback has got 2 NIL deals since January. I mean, what does that tell you? What does that tell you about your head coach?
If Saban comes calling for this kid, does that mean that we're missing the boat? Does that mean is he better than he looks on paper down there?
I think he's better than he looks on paper, but he was hurt last year. Okay, but 2 years ago he come in. They had that Nico Perry kid that was, supposed to be the next best thing. Wore all them golden shoes and was the Flash and this and that. He couldn't throw the ball 10 yards. Blah blah blah. They brought Van Dyke in. He kind of brought the year back together, but we'll see. He was hurt last year. We'll see what he can do.
Well, maybe he was hurt because he didn't have an offensive line, right? They went deep into the transfer portal. They got Matt Lee, a center from UCF. They got Javion Cohen, a offensive tackle from Bama.
The number 1 in the portal.
They got Zion Nelson, another offensive tackle. So, they went deep in the transfer portal, obviously looking for some for some people to add there. Actually, I don't know if Zion was in the transfer portal, but...
No. He didn't play last year.
Okay.
I mean, but but what you just said, they had to go get a center. Your anchor on the O-line, they had to go get him from Central Florida.
Right.
Okay? They had to go get an offensive tackle. From where? Alabama. Which we already know about Alabama's offensive line. They got, tons of them over there to just wait to play. So, yeah, they're trying to rebuild because they want to keep Tyler Van Dyke, TVD. They want to keep him upright.
Well, they also lost their tight end, Will Mallory, to the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, that's just another weapon gone. You look at the running backs. Yeah, they're 3 deep. They're going to depend on Parrish, of course. But this Chaney kid, this freshman, they're going to look out for him. And then this Mark Fletcher kid, he can catch and run. So they're going to have options at the running back. They're going to have a little bit of options at the receiver. Xavier Respirito, that's TVD's best friend. He looks for him on every route possible. And then they're going to hope that Jacoby George has a breakout season that everybody thought he was going to have last year. But they're just hoping. They're hoping. They're hoping they can put something together. The defense. Miami, for years, like Chris was saying, back when we were growing up, they had that killer defense that wore camo everywhere they went.
The 2001 team had
even that,
Lewis.
Revis on it. They had Frank Gore and several other like Clinton Porter, like that.
Yeah, I'm thinking Ray Lewis.
The backups on that 01 team were better than most football players. But those days are over. I mean, they're still living off those glory days. I think they're over. I think they're done. I think this year, what do you got them at? 7.5?
Yeah, and I'm all over the under.
Yeah, I'm looking at like maybe. Yeah, I think 7 is going to be their best bet.
That's the ceiling.
I think 7 is their ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah.
They top out.
Yeah.
I'm really thinking like 6.
6. Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm thinking
7's the
6.
ceiling.
I'm going through the schedule and I'm thinking 6, but I think they can top out at 7.
Yeah, I laid 150 on under 7.5.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure they get 7. So
Yeah.
even when you go look at the defense, they had to they got Marshall's defensive coordinator, Lance Guidry. Marshall had top 5 defense in the nation last year, and it was legit.
So they finished, actually, speaking of that, they finished 7th in the nation last year in total defense. They allowed just 295 yards and 16 points per game. But the real key there is they were number 1 in all of college football in third down stops.
Well, they lost 2 key guys to the NFL, and they returned their safety, Cam Kinchins. Any relation, Josh?
Well, shit, Tony, you beat me to the punch there. I was going to say we cannot leave Miami football without talking about Cameron Kinchins. I mean, this guy has got one of the best names in college football.
Oh, boy.
But all jokes aside, this guy, between Cameron Kinchins and James Williams, there might not be a better safety tandem in the ACC.
No, I mean, look, Williams is 6'5", 240.
Yeah, I mean,
he can play.
Kinchins picked off 6 passes last year and finished tied with Williams for the team lead in stops with 59.
All-American, yeah.
He's like me, but plural, and a hell of a lot better at football. So,
yeah, got a good tan too, but
yeah, you know what though? Those defensive stats, that's bullshit. I mean, they're padding their schedule last year they played Duke and Middle Tennessee State, which they got beat by. Actually,
they got boat raced.
They played. They had a shit game with Texas A&M where it was a 17-9 game, but USM, they gave up 7. I mean, you look at all their losses last year, and they're giving up 40-something points a game to anybody worth a shit. So all those defensive stats about giving up 16 points a game, that's because they padded it with a few bullshit games. But anybody that had a half-ass offense just smoked their defense.
Listen,
all right, so this is boiling down to, we like the under at 7.
Yeah, I'm under 7.5. But look, let me make a point about that Texas A&M. They get them the second week of the season.
Oh yeah, they're done. They're out.
If you don't think Jimbo Fisher isn't going down there to prove a point,
that's right.
Yeah, so we're going to give them a bonus pick here. We're taking Texas A&M minus whatever it is. I got it lined at 9.5. I don't know exactly what it's going to be.
If it comes in at 12, you're taking Texas A&M.
If it comes in at 14, I'm taking Texas A&M.
Yeah, and then they followed up with a really, really tough competition with Bethune-Cookman,
which is one of the worst teams in the FCS.
Right. They'll hold them to 2 points
on
some kind of stupid fumble in the end zone and end up padding their stats again for defense.
All right, let's jump right into the Duke Blue Devils.
The Duke Blue Devils. They won 9 games in 2022, which was totally. I think the win total was like 4 last year. They went flying over that. They're 30-1 to win the conference. Season win total this year is 6.5 at plus money on the over, plus 125 on the over. These numbers are brought to us by a friend of the show, Carl Johnson, at Jig Jack Johnson. Love Carl. Sportsbook director at the Beau Rivage, yes, down there in the gorgeous Biloxi, Mississippi. Mike Elko just got a new contract extension through 2029. It's his second year as a head coach. He was the former DC at Texas A&M through 2018 through 21. But, yes, they had a great year last year. They won 8 games in the regular season, won the bowl game over Central Florida. But it's a whole totally different animal this year. Their strength of schedule rises 73 spots. That's the highest ever.
I mean, these guys open at Clemson.
Yeah, exactly. But what people need to realize is, yes, they won 8 games in the regular season and the bowl win, so they got 9. But their strength of schedule has moved 73 spots. That's the highest ever since that kind of stuff's been recorded. I don't know if you guys understand what that means. They didn't play Clemson, FSU, or Notre Dame last year. Guess what?
Look, I'm looking at this.
They got them all.
They get all 3 of them this
They have
year.
Clemson, Notre Dame.
They start the season with Clemson.
Florida State, North Carolina, and they finish at Pitt.
I got their ceiling at 4 games, maybe.
Yeah,
5.
and it's tough. I mean, listen.
Maybe 5.
Look, listen. This year they played 8 teams in the top 50 and 4 in the top 25.
Yeah.
All right, so for as good as they were last year, and you have to give them all the due. I mean, you can't take anything away from them.
No,
they
played
did
well.
what they did. But again, they got to play Clemson, FSU, and Notre Dame this year. So they do get Clemson, Notre Dame at home, but they got to go on the road to play FSU.
Dude, nobody in the ACC is returning more starters than Duke, though. I'm a little higher on Duke than you guys are.
Yeah, you are. And listen, Riley Leonard he's a dual threat, 700 yards rushing, 3,000 yards passing. There's no doubt about it. I'm not taking anything away from him. He will get drafted. He'll play. He'll play.
And he's got 3 offensive linemen returning, so
Yes.
He's got some protection up front.
But look, the skill positions, and this is just how it is at Duke. It's just how it is. They do not get those elite guys. They don't. They get, and that's just the fact of the matter.
They're the Georgia Tech of North Carolina.
Pretty much.
I mean, they're not going to out recruit UNC. They're not going to out recruit
Clemson, North Carolina State. They're just not going to do it.
Well, they are returning their Graham Barton, left tackle. He's all ACC last year. They did lose their long snapper, Evan Decker, to the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Well,
New defensive coordinator coming into the hardest schedule he's ever seen. They're toast. They're done. Get ready for basketball season.
All right, yeah. All right, so look.
How do you have them at 4? Who do you have them losing to?
I got them losing to
Clemson, okay.
Clemson,
Notre Dame,
NC State, Florida State,
Pittsburgh,
North Carolina, Pittsburgh. I got them beating Virginia. Yeah. I got them losing to Wake Forest. I got them beating.
I like the under at 6.5.
I got them beating Virginia.
I'm going over all day on this one, boys.
UConn,
All right,
Lafayette, and I got Northwestern, even though they're favored at a pick. Because I like the fact that Northwestern's in shambles right now, and I think they're going to be unpredictable.
Well, I mean, listen, they had on the defensive side of the ball, and this is another reason why they won 8 games. They had 26 takeaways, and they recovered 16 fumbles.
But they got a new defensive coordinator.
Well, that's my point. This doesn't happen. Regression is coming.
Right.
You don't do that every year.
They're not going to do that again.
Exactly.
And they have a way harder schedule.
Their schedule's huge. And, yes, they do got 4 returners on the defensive line. They brought in a cornerback from A&M and a cornerback. Now, listen, Al Blades from Miami, he's legit, okay? He can play. That's fine and dandy. But they're not going to duplicate what they did last year.
Well, they lost Shaka Hayward, linebacker to the Bengals. They also lost Darius Joyner to the Texans.
Yeah, so listen, there's no way I can have them winning 7 games. I cannot do it. I can't do it. Riley Leonard is legit, but he can't play both sides of the ball. Mike Elko I think he's a good head coach. I do. I think that's kind of like, Cutcliffe was up there forever. So, he's kind of like another version of Cutcliffe. He's going to maintain that program, and that program is different than Athens.
All right, so you're on the under on the 6.5.
I'm on the under 6.5. I'm going to lay the juice.
All right, let's transition to Louisville.
Louisville. Now, this is a team that probably has the easiest schedule in the nation. And not only that, okay, yeah, they're 10-1 to win the ACC. Their season win total is 8.5. And look, when it first come out, it was like 7.5, and then it already got bet all the way up to 8.5. All the pros got it. They got a new head coach, Jeff Brom. Now you talking about a prodigal son? That's him. He was the quarterback at Louisville from 89 to 93. He was the former head coach of Purdue, which he took Purdue to the damn Big Ten championship game last year. Purdue to the Big Ten championship. Number 10 transfer class. He only had 10 starters coming back. He went and got the number 10 transfer class. And guess what? There is big time money at Louisville. That is one school where the NIL is going to end up, especially with Jeff Brom there. That is one school that people are going to start noticing. Now, when the ACC starts falling apart, that's probably a Big Ten right off. That might be their number one on the list right there, because the money that they have up there, they're going to be able to get the guys. You know, back in the when Petrino was there and had Lamar Jackson and all that in their glory days or whatever, it's coming back. We're talking about Jeff Brom, who Purdue, never nothing ever. They played Michigan last year in the Big Ten championship. That's crazy to think.
Boiler up.
Yeah. Well, okay. So they only got 5 starters returning, and he went and got Jack Plummer. He got him out of California, and the reason why I even mentioned that on our notes is because he played at Purdue earlier and then transferred to Cal. So he played under that. He hired his brother to be the OC, Brian Brom. They got Jamari Thrash out of Georgia State, hometown boy, 61, 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns. They got him to come in and play receiver. Kevin Coleman from Jackson State, which that is Deion's old team. So you know Deion had him down there to kick him. He can at least run, right? Kid can run.
He said, "Screw that cold weather."
Yeah, but the one everybody needs to probably look out for is that Hug and Bruce kids. They raved about him in the spring game. Last year he had 365 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he averaged 11.8 yards on the catch. Okay, so obviously the kid, he can make some plays. 2 running backs coming back, Jordan and Turner, thunder and lightning type-ish. One of them's a speedster, the little scat back. The other one's the pounder. We'll see. They got that transfer, Gradero from Wisconsin, and of course he had to go because they got Brandon Allen up there. He knows he's not going to get any playing time. The portal, though, the O-line, they try to go to the portal and they got a center, Brian Hudson. But other than that, the O-line's going to be just, let's see who plug and place basically is what it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think the offense is going to be fine. I think the front and middle defense are going to have some major questions. The main pass rushers are gone. Team's top 3 linebackers are gone or transferred. The secondary should be fine on the other hand with a ton of transfers coming in, including Storm Duck, great name, Groves, Killebrew, Kelly, Neal, and Frierson. So,
well, they did lose a couple of key weapons on the defense. Yazir Abdullah to Jacksonville, and then K. Trell Clark to Arizona.
So you gotta kind of like what Brian Brom's what Jeff Brom's trying to do is take what he knows. He brought his defensive coordinator over, Ron English. He brought him over from Purdue. Which listen, Purdue had a pretty good defense in the Big Ten. I mean, for what they, especially when they had to play Ohio State, Michigan. They had to play Michigan State back when they had Kenneth Walker and all them, when they were rolling. So he's trying to bring
within
the
frame of what we call Big Ten defenses.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for what we're talking about. Yes, right. Yes. We're not talking about steady lighting somebody up and the rest of them. Yeah, we're not talking about that. But the big thing about why I like the over of 8.5. Like I said, it did get bet up from 7.5 to 8.5, and I would still take the plus money because guess what? They don't have to play Clemson, they don't have to play North Carolina, and they don't have to play FSU.
But you got some coin flips here. I mean, you got NC State, Notre Dame, Pittsburgh.
By the way, that's another nugget. I think they beat Notre Dame.
That'd be awesome.
They get them at home. I think they beat them.
I hope every team beats Notre Dame.
So, I mean, that's
I got them at 7 to 9 wins, and you got them at 8.5, which tells me that I'm staying away from that. I'm just not even betting that one. If I had to go over under on their games, find something else to bet on.
You make like 3 bets a year anyway, so definitely staying away from this one.
but he wins. He's got a Colorado
to be
bat.
Determined.
He's got a Colorado bat in pocket.
Determined.
Wow.
Yeah,
All right,
but ask Jeff. I would send him my picks last year, and I would go normally 4 out of 6.
Yeah.
every week.
Yeah, good picker.
So Jeff, where are you at with Louisville?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not going to pick them. Now, listen, again, since there's no more conferences now, that 10-1, it's live. The problem is because all they have to do is finish second. They can get beat by whoever. Like I said, they don't play Clemson, they don't play North Carolina, they don't play FSU. Okay, which is another reason why I don't like FSU, because they got to play Clemson. You see what I'm saying?
September 23rd.
Well, these guys, they can lose to Notre Dame, they can lose to Kentucky, they can lose to which
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they lose to Kentucky or Notre Dame.
They can lose to all those games and still be
play
possibly one-loss team and play.
So the 10-1 to win the conference, it's live, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to take a shot. You can throw some pizza money on that. What I do like over 8.5.
I think they get smoked by Clemson, so I don't put them at.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying if you're gonna have something to.
What's the odds of them making the ACC championship game as opposed to winning it? The conference.
Okay, look. Can they beat Tech?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying I agree, but what I'm saying is there.
Oh,
I would
no, I
bet
don't
them
know.
to.
Yeah, no,
I would be. It would be a better bet to
make the
the
championship.
game,
Yeah, no,
not
I
to
haven't
win
seen-
it.
I don't.
Right.
Yeah, I have to ask our good friend of the show, Carl Johnson, about that.
Right.
I have not seen any odds about that.
That would be a better pick for me.
But look, conference
pizza money.
wise, Georgia Tech, that's a win, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, this schedule looks
Boston
super
College
easy.
is a win, right? NC
I
State.
got them out of the gate 4 wins in a row. Easy.
Okay, yeah.
NC
So
State win.
I would think
NC
that's
State's
a
a
win.
pick. I got it as a pick.
Now they got to go to Pittsburgh.
I got that as a loss.
I mean, once they hit
Duke.
the middle, Notre Dame, Pittsburgh, that's when things will get tough for them.
Listen,
if they lose to Notre Dame, Pittsburgh, and Kentucky, they still only have 1 loss in the ACC. So
Their schedule's kind of weird, though, right? It goes easy, then kind of gets tough, and then it goes easy again, and then finishes a
But
little
look-
bit tough.
welcome
so.
to college football, Josh. Thanks.
look, guys, look. My numbers have them as a 6-point favorite at Miami in November, which
I think Miami's a dumpster fire.
I
We already
understand
said that.
exactly. So, that just goes to show you. Now, look, I got them favored over Kentucky. I'm not sure that I'm.
I think Kentucky beats their ass because they're going to have to take out their frustration somewhere. after getting
difference is-
steamrolled by
That's
Tennessee,
another
It's easier
pod.
on
and
the back
Georgia
end, too.
and everybody else.
It is very easy on the back end because you got to think. You got to think once they get past that Pittsburgh game, and God help them if they win that. They got Duke, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's gonna be better than they were last year. Virginia is garbage, and we already gave our opinion about Miami. So,
See, that is not like college football, Mr. Smith.
see, I got them as a 10-win team. So,
All right, moving on. What do we have to say about our hometown Yellow Jackets from
Go
Georgia
Dogs.
Tech, baby?
well, I want to be. I want to tiptoe around this as best as I can.
We may or may not have a few friends that are techies, so.
Yeah, so let me just say this. They're brought to you by MGM Odds, 150 to win the ACC. Season win total of 4.5, and that's plus 110 if you decide to go over, but you got to lay 135 to go under. And this is going to be Brent Key's, it says second year, but he come in last year after Jeff Collins got gone after 4 or 5 games.
Yeah,
or whatever
it's his
it was.
first
Yeah.
year as from
Yeah.
the start.
He
with his-
finished out the season 4-4. He beat North Carolina, he beat Pitt, and he beat Duke.
He's also been shopping in the SEC. I don't know if y'all know that.
Well, yeah, but
He went shopping.
Shopping for
He
players?
got Dominic Blaylock from Georgia.
Georgia, yeah, I know he got their
He
receiver.
got Chris Lane from Texas A&M. He got Christian Leary from Alabama. and he picked up Brett Seether, the big tight end from Georgia, but the Georgia tight end room is so deep, the kid had to go somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
So he's been shopping in the SEC for that ACC team.
You know, he was Saban's boy there for a while. He was an assistant on the offensive line, then he was the offensive line coach. So, I mean, look, he played
He
for...
knows where to go to get players, right?
Look, he played for George O'Leary, okay? You know, he blocked for Joe Hamilton. He was on that whole whatever it was when they split the championship or whatever they did. I don't even...
91?
91, yeah,
Yeah,
whatever it was. Yeah.
No,
I
it
think
was, it was 1990.
Yeah, I was in...
Colorado, the 5th down.
Yeah, so anyway.
Do we have a picture of the ring? Because
Yeah, we do.
I'm not...
I only know that because I talk a lot of shit to the Techies. Yeah,
Where's
it was 1990 Colorado had the 5th down year. They won the Orange
Cordell
Bowl.
Stewart and them, yeah.
Yep.
Where's Gary St. Clair? And
Well, I was hoping to get him on, but obviously he's moving. But we'll have to talk to Gary at a later time and date. But, you know, Brent Key has been around enough excellent coaching. Like I said, look, say what you want to about George O'Leary. I don't care if he lied on his application at Notre Dame, and that's why they didn't hire him. But he was a great head coach. He had Ralph Friedgen running that offense with George Godsey. They were beating people that they never should have even attempted to beat. He coached under Saban, so he knows how to recruit. You know, that's one thing about it. Like all them guys under Saban, they learn how to recruit. And that's a big deal, especially now. And the thing about Georgia Tech, like, they just can't take anybody in. It's not Athens. They just can't take anybody in. So they can only get what they can get. You know, Jeff Sims, he's gone to Nebraska.
Who's going to be your quarterback?
Well, I mean, look, from what I understand, Zach Pyron is going to get the job. But that Haynes King kid, slinging the ball at Texas A&M the last couple of years. We'll see. The running back, Dante Smith, 4-year starter. I mean, he's a 4-year starter. At least he knows what to do. You know, he knows how to play. The Louisville transfer receiver or running back, Coley. You know, they're going to have their pick there. Wide receivers, of course, like y'all said, Blaylock, Leary, McCollum out of North Carolina. They got 4 offensive linemen coming back.
I mean, this all leads up to, if you can't beat them, join them. I mean, they literally went out and got weapons.
Yes, they did the best they could do. Look, Dominique Blaylock is for real.
Yes.
He's for real.
Larry,
he's legit.
Larry as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they're bringing back 11 total starters. Not terrible, right? 5 on offense, 6 on defense.
But they're losing the quarterback. I mean, he went to Nebraska.
Yeah, but hell, it's not like you're losing somebody that special. Jeff Sims. I live in Georgia, and I couldn't even have told you the Georgia Tech quarterback select name last year.
He's probably going to start for Nebraska.
Yeah, he actually is decent. Right?
Okay.
He's probably going to start for Nebraska.
Shame on me, I guess.
You know, we look at the defense. Look at that. They gave up 189.2 yards rushing every game last year. I mean, you cannot win like that. But he definitely went in the portal on the defensive side too. He got the kid out of Clemson, Reuben out of Clemson as defensive lineman. He got a linebacker, Braden Oliver out of Minnesota, Andre White come in from Texas A&M, and then their top pass rusher, Keelan White, returns. He's gone to the NFL. New England drafted him. So they got to try to replace all that. And then they got a secondary in LaMiles Brooks as a safety that, he can only do so much. He can't cover both sides of the field. So
yeah. I mean, look, the Yellow Jackets had the worst passing offense in the ACC last year. They were dead last in third down conversions, downfield passing, and tackles for loss allowed. So
what does that say about Nebraska starting Jeff Sims?
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah.
Best of luck to you. Their team scored more than 16 points just 5 times.
That's terrible.
Coincidentally, those were their 5 wins last year.
Yep.
So 16
So if you
points.
score
more than 16
points,
you
you win. Yeah.
Wow. That is
Where you
that's
at on
a hell of
4.5?
a stat there.
Stay in the truck.
I'm under 4.5. I hate it. Look, Tim Strain, Gary Sinclair, all you guys, a couple more of you, my uncle. I know y'all are gonna hear this, and I'm gonna hear it, but I'm just telling you right now, if you guys win 3 games this year, Brent Key did a hell of a job.
I got them doing a hell of a coaching job. I got them locking down the defensive, putting some better schemes in. I got them creating a running game because the quarterback's going to be less experienced, so they're going to control the clock. And I got them squeezing out wins against South Carolina State, Wake Forest, Bowling Green, Boston College, Virginia, and then possibly with the upset of that dumpster fire Miami for a 5 or 6 win season.
Well, look,
I think they go over as well. Look, they went 5-7 last year. I think they're a better team this year than they were last year. Their schedule isn't terribly difficult based in what I'm seeing here.
listen,
I like them over 4.5.
y'all like them over. Listen, Ole Miss is going to beat them by whatever Lane decides to do that day.
30, but I didn't say they were going to win that game.
but
They're going to lose
look,
versus Ole Miss.
and then
They're
they got to
gonna
go to
lose
Wake Forest the next weekend, which, I know Sam Hartman left. They got the new kid in, Mitch. He's not Sam Hartman, but he's good. I got him as 10-point dogs there. I got him as 13-point dogs against Miami. I do got him favored over Boston College, but that's later on in the year. So, guys, I don't see it, man. And look, I got Georgia 35.5 points, and that might be the score at the end of the first half. So, I got him as 3 wins. So,
All right, well, we'll see.
and look, let me just, before we just jump off of this, there was a lot of fuss about what they were going to do with Brent Key at the end of the year. Okay. What probably, number one, Willie Fritz decided to stay at Tulane. It was his job if he wanted it. But he had Tulane going to play USC in the bowl game, and he decided to stay and concentrate on the bowl game. So it was probably Willie Fritz's job. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't know what the tech guys would tell you, but I'm pretty sure that's how it went down. But what saved Brent Key's job is he did beat North Carolina, Pitt, and Duke at the end of the year. So, I'm not saying they settled. I'm saying I think they did about as good as they could do.
Well, I think they thought they saw some pretty good results, better than they thought, and they thought maybe this guy's pretty damn good. Maybe he needs a shot.
So, good luck to him.
Feels like their schedule is going to rely on Pyron and what he can do.
Yeah, and I really think Haynes King is what they need to go to.
You like Haynes King more than Pyron?
I like Haynes King a lot more than Pyron. Know he's got the arm, and he's definitely got the talent. I just don't know what Pyron or King's going to have around him to make the plays.
Right.
So, again, like I said, this Georgia Tech in Athens, they just can't let anybody in there. So, they can only get what they can get. Let's go on to Pitt. Now, Pitt is very, very interesting. 25-1 to win the conference, 6.5 on the win total. You got to lay minus 190 to get that over.
So these guys had 6 players drafted. They had 2 from offense, 4 from defense.
Yeah, because Narduzzi is a defensive genius. He made Mike D'Antoni's career up there at Michigan State as his defensive coordinator. The guy he's a meathead. He says some dumb stuff and does some dumb stuff, but he is a hell of a defensive coordinator. And head coach now. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you think about it, Aaron Donald, Joker had him over there, and, wreaked havoc forever, and now should have been the MVP of the Super Bowl 2 years ago, but he wasn't. But this is his 10th year. He's 62-41 at a place that's not easy to win at.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that offensive coordinator Frank Signetti came in from BC 2 years ago. Now they've got a new quarterback this year, Phil Jerkovic, who's a senior transfer from BC. So it's like he's coming
from BC via Notre Dame after he lost the job to Ian Book.
Good, he didn't get the job at Notre Dame.
He tried to go to Notre Dame first. That wasn't his choice. Pitt wasn't his choice, but Ian Book took that starting job from him at Notre Dame, and he didn't have any other choice.
Who's this, Jerkovic?
Jerkovic.
Yeah.
He didn't have any other choice but to chase his offensive coordinator from Boston College to Pitt.
So when Ian Book beat him out, he ended up going to Boston College, and then he transferred this year from Boston College to Pitt. But yes, that's right. He was.
I thought he went from Boston College.
I
thought
right.
him and the OC left at the same time.
No,
he went to,
no. Okay. So he was on the.
My bad.
He was recruited to Notre Dame by Brian Kelly, and he thought it was his job, and then he couldn't beat out Book, so that's when Signetti got him up there at BC. and now he transferred in, and Cignetti followed him down there. And look, Pitt is always going to be one of those middle road type teams. You know, I mean, look, they closed out last year with 5 straight wins. They beat UCLA in a bowl game. I don't know how much you can expect from them. You know, they got an LSU transfer to run the ball in Derek Davis, which, you know, guys, if he's coming from LSU, you know he's got some pedigree in him. I mean, the kid can play. You know, of course, again, he's leaving LSU because I'm sure the running back room's stacked.
Because they're deep.
He wants to play, right?
They're loaded.
They're
right?
loaded. So Rodney Hampton comes back as a running back too. So, you know, they're going to have options there. They got Reynolds. They get the kid out of Florida to come in as a receiver. Montfield, he's there. The tight end Bartholomew, he's kind of like a proven option. And then, you know, their offensive line, they get their center back. They get an offensive tackle that comes back. So 6 starters returning all in offense. It's a solid offense. Defensively, again, Pat Narduzzi. He makes, you know, chicken salad out of chicken crap. He always has, and he always will. You know, defensive linemen, they're gonna have to step up. They got to find a pass rush. You know, their linebackers, Simon, he's a tackle machine. We'll see what happens in the secondary. They got Devonshire and Marquise Williams. Both of them come back. And then they got a safety that they got out of Florida in McMillan. So it's not really, you know, the point of this is not really to look at their defense because
This comes down to Phil.
That's what it comes down to. What can Jerkovich do?
Can Phil get first downs? Can Phil keep the defense fresh? And can he score 30 points a game?
I lean over 6.5.
They got a hell of an easy schedule here. I mean,
I lean over 6.5.
they literally could go undefeated. I mean,
I don't know if I agree. I mean,
the games that they are projected
Cincinnati, North Carolina,
the games they're projected to lose are Wake
Notre
Forest,
Dame,
Notre
Florida
Dame,
State.
Florida
I mean,
State.
Those aren't easy.
Who? Cincinnati?
Cincinnati,
They're
Notre
down.
Dame,
Yeah.
North Carolina.
I can see Notre Dame and Florida
State.
State. Every other team seems like a.
Yeah, I lean to the over. Again, we're pulling off my projections, and you know, I'll be the first to tell you that I'm probably not as sharp as some of these other guys, but I mean, I trust my numbers, and I see them as having 7 wins with a coin flip to go to 8. So, you know, I'll if I had to do it, I'll lay the 190 and bet over 6.5.
I got them at 8. I got them at 8 wins.
Yeah.
I think they're going to roll through 8.
So you're comfortable with 7 no matter what.
Yeah. So I think 7's a winner.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
think it's a walk. It's an easy bet. It's a wrap.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Syracuse Orange.
Okay. So look, you know, not that we want to make this pod extended and, you know, waste all y'all's time. I wanted to throw Syracuse in here just to talk about what Dino Bavers has ended up with, and it's a mess. They're 66 to 1 to win the conference. Their win total is 6.5, and you get plus 130, but it's shaded to the under at 160. So this is one of my favorite bets. Miami's one of my favorite bets. Miami to go under, Syracuse to go under. Listen, they lost their OC and DC. They lost their absolute best player on offense, their running back, Sean Tucker. He got drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They went and hired Rocky Long, who is the father of the 3-3-5 defense. Great defensive coordinator. Was out there at San Diego State. He's an older dude, but he can definitely try to get something together. But from 2012 to 2013, that's the last time they won back. They had back-to-back winning seasons. So you're going to tell me right now that they're going to win 7 games?
Nah, they're going to be lucky to win 5.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
5 is their ceiling.
Yes.
1, 2,
Maybe
3.
4.
Maybe 4. Yes,
Yeah.
5 is the ceiling.
5 is their ceiling.
Yeah, I got them at 4.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, like I said, I'm not trying to waste you guys' time, but when I see things like this, I just, and you get, yes, you have to lay 160 to get the under, but also what you got to remember is every half game is worth 70 cents. So that's huge. To me, that's huge. That right there, like I said, my number one under bet is Miami. My number two under bet is Syracuse. And I got Clemson over.
There you go.
And I'm highly, highly likely to go under on Florida State. Just because as we wrap this thing up, I'm not a believer in the defense for Florida State. I do think LSU runs them out of the stadium. I'm talking about out of Orlando. I think Brian Kelly, if he has a couple of games circled, the number one, he lost that game last year.
I told you, I think their ceiling's 9, and then you got their 9.5.
Yeah. So, and look.
September 23rd.
Clemson,
Florida State.
Clemson. I already told you. I don't think Clemson loses a game. So, but let me just throw this little bonus in before we get out of here. We're going to let y'all go. I just want to talk about Virginia for a minute, okay? Tony Elliott, head coach, former OC for Clemson, back in the glory days. Listen, they won 3 games. 2 of the 3 games they won last year were against Richmond and Old Dominion. Terrible. Their quarterback hit the portal, went to NC State. Best linebacker, Nick Jackson, went to Missouri. Cornerback went to Florida State, Fentrell Cypress. Their quarterback the quarterback that they project to start, kid named Tony Muskett from Monmouth. Monmouth only won 5 games last year. Their offensive line is so young. They have no skill positions. William and Mary, which they play on October 7th, is picked to win the CAA, and I'm just going to give y'all this nugget. I'll take William and Mary right now. Their win total, Virginia's win total is 3.5. You got to lay 145. Lay it. I don't think they win.
Put it on the table. All right, guys, we're wrapping up the ACC, and we're going to move into our stay in the truck moment. But first, I want to throw a quick shout-out to Jake Dickert and Media Days for the Pac-12 a week or 2 ago. He paid homage to great Mike Leach, keeping him relevant and keeping him in the conversation. We hate to see somebody like that in this sport get taken away from us, but I like to see the coaches bring it back, give them the recognition they need. Mike Leach did take a Washington State program and put them back on the map, and just thought that was a good thing he did. So
look, he had, I'm just going to go back to the Gardner Minshew days.
Yeah.
He got Gardner Minshew drafted by the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Got him drafted.
Yeah.
No, not to mention whoever else he had up through there. But, I mean, what he did, he made the Palouse somewhere that people didn't want to come anymore back when they didn't care. It wasn't even relevant. But
they were off the map.
Yeah, what he did, and then even what he did in the SEC over there at Mississippi State, he had them rolling there toward the end. So
Right.
It doesn't matter. Any Mike Leach press conference is epic. That dude, he starts rolling.
Talking about mascots and pirates and
it doesn't matter. He goes and goes and goes. You never know what you're gonna get. It was nobody can touch it.
all right, T, what do you got? Who's your stay in the truck this week?
My stay in the truck this week is the NCAA. I mean, look, every article that's come out this week has been about all the conferences. Look, everybody's moving. You got the SEC shaking up. You got the ACC shaking up. The Pac-12 shaking up. Every article you've seen has been realignment of the conference. It's ridiculous. You don't know what to believe. Everything is controlled around whoever has the contract. Everything is about the television rights. It's ridiculous.
I agree. What do you got, Josh?
Okay, cool. My stay in the truck this week is New York Mets owner
I
Steve
bet
Cohen.
over 94.5. Kill me now.
I'm going with Mr. Steve Cohen and the entire New York Mets squad because Cohen apparently sent a letter this week out to season ticket holders, basically apologizing for how shitty his team has been. He's been expressing his frustration with this year's team. They have a payroll north of $350 million. That's good for first in the league, but yet they sit fourth in the NL East.
Well, they just got rid of some of that payroll by getting rid of their two best pitchers.
$80 million worth.
You're damn right. So they're sitting at 50 and 59 right now. Virtually no shot of making the playoffs. Haven't the damn Yankees taught you anything, Stevie? If you're going to pay, they better be able to play. Stay in the damn truck, Steve Cohen. So that's my stay in the truck for the week.
Yeah, and look, I bet over 94.5, like I told you guys a couple of 2 or 3 whatever it was. Probably one of the worst bets I've ever made. Looking back at it, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but I never expected him to be as god awful. But look, when the reliever when Diaz got hurt, or is it Diaz? Yeah, when he got hurt in the World Baseball Classic, I knew right then. I'm like, oh shit, you can just see it kind of going. I mean, so anyway, yeah, stay in the truck and take my money with you. So,
yep.
You win some, you lose some, you lose a lot. But anyway, my stay in the truck, I'm on kind of to an extent piggyback off our boy Tony over here, NCAA, but it's not for letting them let the conferences go to hell and back, because it really doesn't matter. They really don't have no say so anyway. Mine is for the 4-game suspension for Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah,
over buying cheeseburgers for recruits during the COVID period and all this other kind of whatever it is. Are you kidding me? And number one,
meanwhile, Tennessee gets fined.
Oh yeah,
and has like 10 times the severity of infractions.
Exactly. That was going to be my next point. My whole thing is Harbaugh could have just told him, I didn't do it, and there ain't shit they could do about it. Okay?
Yeah.
But, he's like, yeah, and it just so happened. Now, this has been going on for 2 years now, or 2 or 3 years, whatever. Just so happens he gets suspended for the first 4 games, and they literally play East Carolina, Sisters of the Poor, Father Mary, and all the other stuff. So what purpose do they even serve anymore? Do they serve any purpose?
I don't know. It's what is it? It's SEC bias for one thing.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
But the fact that I don't know, it's ridiculous. That's a good one.
Yeah,
you're right on right there.
So
NCAA, all this NIL money, and they're worried about a damn cheeseburger,
and they can't control the NIL.
All right,
that's what pisses them off even more. They're irrelevant.
Well, the NIL is a complete shit show. It was a ready, fire, aim attempt at doing something. Like, it's a great idea, right? We want to compensate these guys for putting their bodies and their souls on the line, because it is a physically tough game.
One play can change your life.
It can change your life forever.
Yeah.
But there's got to be, you can't just open up. Like, they're gonna have to come in and create rules behind all this, and that's we could do a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, well, and we will, because now you're talking about a union and all this other kind of stuff.
I'm just gonna stop here because I'm gonna get on a tangent that I can't stop. So I'll go into my stay in the truck for the week. It's a few weeks old actually that this comment was made, but I missed the last pod. This goes out to Paul Feinbaum, mainly because, and I really just want to talk about him. But and I'm a Dogs fan. I'm a Go Dogs. I'm an anti everybody else in the SEC. But this guy came out and made a comment about Nick Saban and saying if Nick Saban did not make the playoffs this year, that his legacy was going to be tarnished. Like, Paul Feinbaum, have you looked at his legacy is already there. You can't erase it. It's there. He's historically right now the greatest coach to ever coach in college football. It will take many, many years of success.
By Kirby.
Even if Kirby has it.
Yeah, Kirby's the only one close.
If Kirby can have the success, it's still going to take 10 years of the continued current success to even get to the conversation where he can be considered on that same level as far as career respect, success, the people who have fallen off of his tree, his family tree of coaches that have succeeded him.
Half the things that are going on these days are because of Saban.
Yeah.
He's the game changer.
Yeah.
So, half of what's going on is so tarnish a legacy or whatever. I don't, that's a bunch of BS. So
I did see where Nick Saban this week bought a beachfront property. I want to say it was either in Jupiter or
we're
West
going
Palm
down
Beach.
there. We got invited for the fall break.
All of SEC can just hopefully cross our fingers and hopefully this man is retiring soon, because
what we
that
need
would
to
be
hope
the best
for
thing that happened to everyone in the SEC.
I already told y'all I will get the moving trucks.
Yeah, me too. I'll
Well,
back
you're
him
an
up right to
Auburn
his
fan,
house.
so you would. But I like him there because I like what he brings to
Well,
it.
maybe
I like the
they'll
competition.
go get Dabo.
Yeah, I
They
think
are going to get Dabo.
I think Dabo. I bet he's going there. Yeah, as soon as. Yeah, I think that he's next in line, 100%.
That's it for this week's show. We really appreciate you tuning in. Please remember to like, subscribe, and leave us some comments. Let us know how we're doing. Stay in the truck.